All right, so this has been bothering me for a little while. When I was at school, my physics teacher used to say that mathematics is the language of nature, and I had no idea what he meant. It didn't make any sense to me at all. Now I get it though, and I'll try and put it in terms that a younger me would have understood. Most people try to think in black and white because it's easier than thinking in terms of shades of grey. But life is analog. It's not on or off. Things don't work or not work. There's always an amount of working or not working that things do. I think that people do try to think in black and white because it's easier, but it leads people to make poor decisions, and I'm going to try and help with that now. So an example in our world would be fuel pressure stability. So you'd say that if you've got a good fuel system, your fuel pump flows enough, your pressure regulator regulates enough, and you should have pretty much constant differential fuel pressure across your boost and fuel flow. So when I was actually testing fuel injectors a while ago, I was using a pressure regulator and the pressure was moving a lot, and I thought, what's going on here? So I actually tested a whole bunch of fuel pressure regulators in their ability to hold constant pressure as the fuel flow rate through them changed. And I was very surprised at the level of difference there was between these different devices. The best unit out of all of them was the TurboSmart FPR 2000 out of all the ones that I tested, and other ones were maybe 3 or 5 times the amount of variation in fuel pressure against fuel flow rate. And one factory car was actually 10 times as bad. The issue that I want to bring up though is that it's not that these other ones didn't work and the TurboSmart one did work, it's just that the TurboSmart one worked better than the other ones at maintaining constant fuel pressure. None of them was perfect. They all varied a little bit in the fuel pressure and some more than others. So it doesn't mean that the TurboSmart one works and the other ones don't. And it doesn't mean that the other ones won't work in your application. But what it does mean is that they all work to a different degree. Life is analog. So when people start thinking of something being all or nothing, that they tend to make bad decisions. So for example, if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to only eat, say, 8,000 kilojoules a day, or whatever that is in hamburgers per bald eagle, they find someone might say that they've got above their target for the day. Oh, I've eaten 8,001 kilojoules now. I may as well eat an entire chocolate cake because I've already exceeded my calories for the day. That's bad because it's still making things worse after that. It doesn't matter whether you've met your target or not so much as how many kilojoules you've consumed. That's what determines your weight gain or weight loss rate. And the reason that I'm getting angry about this now is that I'm seeing this sort of rubbish popularized on social media. For example, you see things like, if face masks work, then we don't need to socially distance. And if we're socially distancing, then why do we need to wear face masks? Or sneezes only go for 6 feet and not 6 feet and 1 inch. That's ridiculous. It's not a Boolean thing, it's an analog thing. So face masks work by reducing the probability of cross-infection. Similarly, social distancing reduces the probability as well. If it reduces the probability to say 1% or 0.1% or whatever, you wouldn't say it doesn't work because it doesn't get to 0. It's still worthwhile doing. And the more things you do, the more the probability reduces. Now, I'm not saying there's not an argument for how much trouble and expense we should go to reduce the probability to a certain amount. What I'm saying is that saying that something works or doesn't work is not useful at all. The only way you could say something doesn't work is if it doesn't reduce the probability by an appreciable amount. I can't believe that I'm here explaining this now, but here we are, Karen. The other thing is that when a problem is fixed or not fixed also depends on the situation. So for example, you could have a fuel leak and you could say that I've got a fuel leak at the moment because it's dripping fuel at a certain rate. You could fix it and then say the problem's not there, but the problem probably is there, but under different conditions. For example, maybe it used to leak at 4 bar of fuel pressure, but now it only leaks at 10 bar of fuel pressure or something like that. Now for your application, that may work fine, but it doesn't mean that there was a leak before and now there's no leak. It just means it will happen at a different point. Similarly, if you've got a boost-related misfire, let's say I used to misfire at 1 bar of boost and now I've gapped up the plugs, I don't have the misfire anymore, the misfire's gone, the problem's fixed. No, maybe it just means that you've moved it to 2 bar of boost or 3 bar of boost where the problem happens. Life is analog. It doesn't go or not go, it will just happen under different circumstances. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is life is generally not black and white. It's generally various shades of grey. Sometimes they only appear as a black and white thing, but whenever someone's talking black and white, be very careful because there's almost always something more than that going on. All right? Don't eat the whole chocolate cake.